Hi guys, this is Bill from Spencer1984.com, and I'm taking a look at the two 1/25th scale 70 Chevelle SS kits that are currently on the market, the Jack Reacher car from AMT, and the Snap Together kit from Revell. The Jack Reacher car is based off of AMT's old 2-in-1 kit and is definitely showing its age, while the Revell kit is a much newer one and benefits from the more modern tooling. As you can see, they both look very similar once they're completed, so let's take a closer look and see which one is more worthwhile. Starting at the front, the biggest difference between the two is that the Revell kit is a curbside, while the AMT kit does have a removable hood with full engine detailing. It's a little bit sparse by modern standards, but we do have some fairly decent detailing in there. There's a separate fan, separate upper radiator hose, air cleaner with the decal on it, and it does have the optional chrome dress-up kit on this. There are also some more subtle differences. The headlights are a little bit larger on this, and the cowl induction scoop is narrower. Like the 1/24th kit, it does have an open flap back here, while the AMT kit has slightly smaller headlights, and the cowl induction scoop is wider without the flap open. Now come around here to the back. You can see that the rear windows are shaped a little bit differently. The Revell kit has a slightly curved top here, where the AMT kit is much straighter across. The Chevelle scripts are also a little bit different. The Revell kit has a more accurate upright Chevelle, where the AMT has a more italicized style. The exhaust tips on the AMT kit are separate pieces, and so they're a little bit crude, a little bit heavy, whereas on the Revell kit they're cast as part of the chassis. So although they are not separate, and once you get under the car they look a little bit rough, what sticks out from under the bumper is much nicer looking. From here you can also see one of the other problems that I had with the AMT kit, and that was this part of the chassis that sticks down. What happened was the chassis didn't have the correct kick-up back here, and so the last inch or so of the chassis actually hung down under the rear bumper, and that needed to be bent here and here so that it fit where it belonged. Now there was no problem at all with the Revell kit, and that just slipped into place easily. In fact, the chassis of the Revell kit just looks much better overall. We start with taking a look at the AMT kit. You can see it's got an almost square fuel tank. The control arms for the rear axle are way in here and almost parallel. It's because they've got mounts for the rear axle out here. It is a solid metal axle. The exhaust pipes are separate. The drive shaft is not. The drive shaft is cast as part of the chassis up until about here, and then it's cast as part of the rear axle. The front end is very simplified. You can see that there's no A-arms past this point right here. Like with the rear, it's got blocks so that you can choose what ride height you want. And I also had a little bit of fitment issue here, where the contours of the front bumper and the contours of the chassis didn't quite line up with each other. The Revell chassis, on the other hand, even though this is all one piece, just looks so much better than the AMT kit. It's got a more accurate looking rectangular fuel tank. The exhaust pipes, even though these are cast in, still manage to look better. Because the drive shaft is one piece, it doesn't have a brake right here like in the AMT kit. You've got full front suspension detailing here. Got complete control arms, you've got the sway bar, you've got the tie rod, all of that detailing right through here is very nicely done. There's also no problem with fit. These line up perfectly, and like I said, this just slides into place as it's supposed to. So just so much better work on this. Like the chassis, the interior of the Revell kit is much better detailed, but since I painted the interiors black in both of these, it's going to be almost impossible to see them. So instead, I've got a spare interior from an extra AMT and Revell kit, and we'll take a closer look at those instead. Starting with the AMT, it's done in the traditional bucket style, So it's got the door panels molded into place, and you can see that there is some detailing on there, but just out of necessity. It's very shallow, and it's also very soft at this point. It does not have the rear seat or the center console molded into place, so that's kind of nice if you're trying to do a custom. Whereas the Revell kit has the rear seat and the center console molded into place, but you can see that the detail on it is much sharper, it's much cleaner, it's more accurate to what the full-sized car had, and it does not have the door panels molded into place. Those are separate pieces here, and you can see that they've got some very nice engraving on them. They've got easily identifiable window cranks, door handles, all the trim pieces. They even have the vents down here. And there's the front seats. And they also have some very nice sharp detailing on them. The seat backs unfortunately have these giant holes in them. I wish that Revell had done something else, create some sort of plug or not had something there so that it was quite so ugly. On the plus side, once they're in the car, they lean back far enough that you can actually see them. And they're still better than what AMT provides, which are just that. Just plain, flat, featureless panels for the backs of the front seats. The dashboards of the two are very similar. Once again, the Revell kit has some sharper detailing, although it's not as obvious here on the dashboard as it is with some of the other pieces that we've seen. The biggest difference is just it looks a little newer, for lack of a better word. It looks sharper, it looks like the tooling has been made more recently. It also does have separate pedals, so that's kind of a nice touch, whereas on the AMT kit they're cast as part of the floor. And so in the end, it's almost no contest. The Revell kit is just cleaner, it goes together easier, it's got sharper detailing on it. Now, it's certainly not perfect. There was a sink mark in the middle of the trunk lid that I had to correct. Even though I didn't use them here, I wish that Revell had included a set of stock wheels, because that would offer up more options for builders. Arguably, some of the interior detailing is a little too sharp. It almost borders on caricature. But especially in a case like what I've got here with the black interior, the overemphasis is actually a nice touch because it kind of helps define things. The plastic has a somewhat strange consistency. It's a little bit softer, a little bit more difficult to work with, depending on what you're trying to do with it. And at the same time, the AMT kit isn't completely horrible. Round 2 included a set of their pad-printed tires, which is always a nice addition, and the extra engine options and wheels are always welcome. But you just have to go through so much more work to get something decent looking out of it. The body actually had more sink marks than the Revell kit. The chassis has fit problems front and rear, and has a whole list of inaccuracies. The decals were just a hideous error that never should have made it past the proofing stage into production. And it just requires so much more work to get something decent looking out of it. So unless you absolutely need the engine or some of the optional parts included with the AMT kit, it's definitely worth your money to get the Revell one instead. So I hope this has been helpful for anybody considering the two kits. If there's anything that I missed here, any questions you might have, anything that you think I just got flat out wrong, please let me know in the comments below, and I'll answer anything that I can. Thanks for watching.